For the Kansas City Chiefs, you cannot let this picture happen again. Period. There is nothing more important and nothing more worth selling out for. What does that mean? And where do we go from here? It's your Q&A. Welcome to RGR Football. Welcome back, everybody. It's a Monday night Q&A in the offseason with Dan live from Indianapolis, getting ready for the Combine. I am not going this year. You guys know what's going on with me, and I don't know where I'll be next weekend or the weekend after that, but I do know where I'll be this weekend. It's not Indianapolis. So, live from there, Dan. You driven, settled in. Have you had Elmo's yet? What are you doing tonight?
Oh, not yet. I don't know if I'm doing anything tonight, honestly. It's already 7 p.m. I lose an hour going this way. So I drove 7 hours to get here. It's already 7. It's gonna be 8 by the time this is done. We're gonna call the family and probably call it an evening and get to bed so that I can get up and go to the interviews and listen to Andy Reid and Brett Veach talk tomorrow morning.
Yes. DoorDash. I'm ready. So we'll have whatever we can get there from handheld video or whatever else you get a chance to get. We will have a ton for you. If you guys want to stay in the action right now, our friends over at BetUS, they're still pounding away. You can get into the basketball and everything else. I know a couple of you might care about that. You can use the code YouTube150 to get in the action today. You get up to a 2K bonus, up to a couple of times as well. All the time over there, and we will tell you more about BetUS coming up later. But I'm pretty excited. This is the first major Q&A of the offseason. A lot of our old friends are in here. Our members, Dub Freak and Thaddeus are here, and Micah. Info's in the house. We have great questions, and we're going to take all of your questions. Every super chat gets an answer tonight, and we're going to go through all the topics as well. Dan's already got some started because he is more professional than I am and got here a lot earlier than I did. So,
only reason I got here early was to make sure my setup worked. I wasn't dealing with the shenanigans of the post AFC Championship game nonsense from the Senior Bowl. So I wanted to make sure this worked. That's the only reason I was in here getting questions.
I like it, and I'll take it. I'm going to get one out of the way early because I'm just going to be a hard no on Micah's first question. Henry Ruggs is eligible for parole in 26. Should Casey give him a tryout? Hell no. Not in a million years. I want nothing to do with that guy. This team obviously is sour right now because of a loss. You can't let desperation creep in to sour the rest of the locker room. This still has to be a room that you can rely on. It has to have stand-up dudes in it. That is a non-starter for me. But this one's interesting, and Mike was here early too, so he got a lot of questions in early. Any interest in Juan Thornhill? Browns are cutting him this week. And I said today, I won't say no. He knows the system. He's not the player he was when he left here. And quite frankly, the knee injury probably prevented him from ever becoming the player he would have been. But if it's a cheap deal, if it's somebody that you know has a bit more eye for the full field in the back, I would consider it.
I think you can always consider it because he did play in the system. The only thing for me is that he's probably more of a too high safety at this point in his career than he was when he left Kansas City to begin with. And as you guys all know, I'm a proponent of bringing in a safety as long as he can give you real full field snaps at safety and be more reliable to drop down one of your safeties and play a little bit of cover 3 or single high if you're going to blitz, because that's what we haven't seen. We haven't seen somebody be able to be back there in the last couple of seasons and be able to hold up if you're going to blitz and have a single high safety who can get to both sides if you desperately need it. So that's kind of where I land on that. If it's going to be cheap enough, maybe, but you probably have to let go of another safety or convert one of your guys permanently to corner. That would be Chamari Connor.
Yeah.
And I think you guys know how I would feel about that one.
Yeah, I'm not going there either. I am just not ready for that. So, you know what? We're going to have to hold tight and see what happens. Now, there's a lot of free agency questions as well. Juan's just part of it. I know you guys have questions about Trey as well. And I want to tell you, get over there because our longtime member and person who is always here, Caroline, has started to come over to the dark side and started writing football for NFL 33. Her first piece went up tonight about Trey Smith and his free agency prospects. So if you want to get an RGR alum and you want to read what she has to say, all the stats behind it, because she is better at stats than I am. I'm going to tell you that right now. You want to go get over there. I'll give you a clip of it here in a little bit, folks. But I just wanted to say that it's nice to see some alum from here contribute and take a step forward in the media space as well. So I'm kind of pumped about that. Alex the Great. I think next year's O-line will be Kingsley, Tooney, Creed, Norzad, and Taylor. I don't see us getting a right tackle that will start over Kingsley. What do you all think? I love the content you guys put out. Thanks, Alex. We appreciate you. I'm okay with that lineup right now. Where are you?
If we get development from Kingsley, like if we can actually get some development, I'm all for this. Like I'm all for it because that's the thing that this hinges on. It hinges on the Chiefs willingly trying to develop Kingsley, him trying to get better. The tools are all there, but how is the mindset? Can he protect his edge? Can he get some of these speed guys? Like that's the big thing here is without the confidence and the willingness of the coaching staff to be able to develop him, I don't know how this is going to go. And that's the big question mark. So the Chiefs will tell us a lot by their offseason in terms of free agency and the draft, how they feel about Kingsley at left tackle. For me, I still want to see him try and develop because the talent was all there. And whether or not you ruined his confidence, which to be fair, isn't all on the Chiefs. If you allow yourself to be destroyed confidence wise by something like that, well, then maybe you shouldn't be a left tackle in the league either. So you always have that flexibility because I liked what I saw from Norzad at center and guard later in the season, specifically against the Broncos. I thought he played pretty well. So I'm okay with this as long as we actually get tangible development from Kingsley.
Yeah, I need evidence before I'm ready to say, oh, this free agency period doesn't matter. We don't have to go out and make a first round selection at the position, that kind of thing. I agree with you completely. So it's got to be fundamental now, not wishful thinking later. And so I really am right now a proponent of doing everything, like leaving no stone unturned. Do it all, get it all out there, and have as many options as possible. That's what I'm looking for. But I am pulling for Kingsley because I do believe he still has the potential to be a starting left tackle in this league. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate you. Mason, this is a strong day 2 draft, and our tackle development has been suspect. Would it be more beneficial to trade back and gain more top 100 picks? I love the way you're thinking, Mason. And normally I would say that is the way to go, except you have a need at maybe the second most important position in any offensive scheme. You have a need at what might be arguably the third. I don't know how you feel about wide receiver. In terms of contract growth, that's starting to look more and more like it might be the third most important position on an offense. Both those need some support. Not to mention, you need D tackle. You need depth at corner. You need linebackers because I don't know who's going to be here. So I can't say that I'm looking for more right now. I want somebody, whether it's Kingsley or someone else, a free agent, or most likely another draft pick, that is that left tackle for Mahomes' next 8 to 10 years.
Ask me this, Mason, after free agency. Okay. This is a question that we can't realistically give you a good answer to until we see what the Chiefs do, because we've already heard that DJ Humphries wants to come back and get a legitimate shot at playing left tackle. If he's given that opportunity, they're not taking a tackle with the first pick. They're not doing it because they have guys right there. They're not going to do that. So if we see some movement in the free agent market where they get need, again, a lot of times you hear the phrase use free agency for your need and then draft depth and draft players with upside to be able to put into some of those spots later down the road, which I'm okay with. But again, if you're bringing in DJ Humphries at left tackle and you have Kingsley, they're not drafting one in this class in the first round. Then we can maybe see about entertaining some of that. But also you have to remember the way that the board shakes out. If they can't address defensive tackle outside of Tershawn Wharton, the end of the first round is going to be very, very popular spot for some of these defensive tackles.
Oh yeah, there's so many of them. You're going to try to squeeze it in. I don't blame teams. This is a shot. I wanted to show you guys what Caroline's been up to, and so her piece is right up here at top, next to my last one. She's knocking it out, and I appreciate it. It's a lot of fun to see this. So I was very honest about the Kraft situation back in the day. If you missed that one in January, go ahead. Billy's still a contributor for us. The staff is growing, and we have a ton going on. But you can get in here. It is opened up for the most part for free. But if you want all the content, you want to see the whole thing, go ahead and get subscribed because there is a ton of content here. And she breaks it down like a true researcher does. So I think you guys are going to dig what she's bringing to the table.
That's
So
awesome.
that feeds directly into Micah's next question, and that is thoughts on the tag and trade rumor of Trey Smith to Seattle for DK. Let me just start right now with the tag and trade concept. We've talked about it before. Looking at the cap right now, there's no room to do that. You cannot apply the tag with the amount of cap space they have. So a lot of dominoes, at least one, if you did the Mahomes bit, would have to fall before you could even attempt that. I don't feel like they're going to go that way. Maybe you'll get a better impression from Brett tomorrow when you see him, but I'm relying on you to give me like, maybe he might pull the trigger. Who knows?
Yeah, we're going to be using some information that we get out of this, hopefully. The Chiefs are very good at not giving you anything, but we're going to see if we can read between the lines tomorrow. I'm probably going to write a piece on the Draft Network about the Andy Reid, Brett Veach press conference to see if we can glean anything because, one, they are one of the most popular teams in the NFL, period. End of story. They're one of the most successful. We've seen that. So, all in all, we're going to get some information, whether it's useful or something you can actually glean from. We'll find out. But that, like Ryan said, the tag and trade cannot actually work right now because they don't have the space to do it. And that's, again, I didn't even realize the situation when I said that they should do it. And the transition tag is a non-starter for the Chiefs as well.
Right.
They get nothing out of that. So it makes no sense for them to use the transition tag either. In best case scenario, we're talking about a compensatory pick in 2026.
Absolutely. And just to go back real quick, we do have a piece. If you are unsure about how that works, we do have a piece up on NFL 33 about the tags, how they work, and the key differences when they need to be applied, et cetera, et cetera. So you can check that out and get a little bit more information if you're looking for it. It's a lot to go into, and quite frankly, it bogs down a conversation, so I'm not going to go there right there tonight. So in terms of the value, I think Seattle, DK, yes, it fills a need. I don't believe DK is the quality of player. I don't think that's an even trade. I need DK plus if I'm going to try to make that trade, especially if I'm giving up what is the key that we're talking about this whole offseason and protecting Mahomes, a guy that is all pro like Trey Smith. I got to have DK plus if that trade were even to happen.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I like DK. He would fit what you're looking for as someone who can play specifically on the outside. But at the end of the day, do the Chiefs use that kind of player? Let's be realistic about that. It's like they barely used DeAndre Hopkins in the postseason.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're talking about trading for and then paying, right? That's a non-starter for me specifically.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. You got to get that done. Carson Hilty, thank you very much. We appreciate the super chat and
Appreciate
the
you,
support.
Carson.
Should the Chiefs use their second, I'm going to say, or third round picks on a running back in this particular group? I'm going to let you go first because you've done more work on them than me.
So this would be the draft to get like their second, third round pick to use on a running back. I think that makes sense. It's really going to depend on how the board falls. Like, and I hate using that answer, you guys. It's an unfortunate situation where we kind of have to right now. But overall, like you said, this could definitely be a situation where the value wasn't there for wide receiver for them on their board or offensive linemen on their board, but for running back, there's going to be players there that make sense. I don't know if they're going to go that route because, like we've talked about, they have needs elsewhere, offensive line, linebacker, potentially wide receiver, and places that you might not have to worry about running back at that point. Day three, you probably see that. But this is if they were going to use it on a running back, this is the draft to do it.
Yeah, I agree. And if you don't, if you just have too many fish to fry, there's also going to be better players in the fourth and fifth rounds than on a normal year. The question is the popularity of the running back in this particular draft going to drive people to grab them earlier than maybe run out of room is the problem. But we'll find out. Thank you, Carson. Appreciate you. Folks, if you want in tonight, make sure you hit the super chat and we'll make sure to get all the super chats answered. This is your show. You're designing it so you can get it done. CJ, thanks for the question. Thoughts on Isaiah Simmons? I know we talk about Brett Veach going after first-round guys that haven't lived up to expectations, and I agree. He is a prime target for Brett Veach, especially for that area of versatility. If you are going to lose Nick Bolton, and you think Leo Chenal is going to go in and be the middle linebacker, which is one of the possible scenarios here, and you want a true will on the other side, Isaiah's closer to that than Drew Tranquill is right now, in my opinion. Isaiah Simmons was the number 2 linebacker / safety in his draft class. The only guy that was more athletic than him was Willie Gay. So if you're not going to bring back Willie and you want someone athletic, Isaiah's had no significant injuries since he was drafted. He is a bit heavier, I'll give him that, but he still moves very well and is a piece that I think would fit athletically into this defense pretty nicely.
Sure. It's being able to find a spot for him. Like that's the thing is he a guy who can fit into the scheme that you want him to run? Because we know that the Chiefs middle linebackers, specifically guys that they want in their linebacker secondary at the second level, they need to be intelligent. They need to be smart. They need to be able to see everything. And that's the reason we saw the growth over the last couple of seasons with not just Drew Tranquill but Nick Bolton and even Leo Chenal, is that they got more of the system underneath them. It's going to take too long for Isaiah Simmons if he's not already there. And that's been part of the problem too, is that he's not as mentally, I would say, versatile to be able to hold on to what the Chiefs really would want out of him in that situation.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And sometimes things just click. You could fit one system worse than another, and it just works. So it's worth trying to find out, is what I would say. And kudos to Matt McMullen, who I thought did a really good job on a small piece that I think it hit social over the weekend. One-on-one him with Spags. And Spags was very, very, very key on that point, that the thing that ties together everybody on this defense is up here. It's not the physical abilities. It's they're all smart ball players. They know ball, and that's what you have to play here. Bottom line. Thank you, CJ. Thank you, Jordan. Nice to see you. So mock draft, the Chiefs taking wide receiver McMillan at 31. Is that a good fit? Also saw a few tackles dropping in the mid-first, such as LSU and OSU. Good ideas. Should they trade up for either? This is something we've talked about a little bit offline, and we'll cover it. You tell me, McMillan, I don't know. Do you think it would work at this point, especially if Travis elects not to play?
I mean, yeah, sure. The problem is that this is a fantasy. This is a fantasy. So I don't know what mock draft. I'm not calling you out, Jordan. I'm calling out the mock draft. It's a bad mock draft. If there's any situation where McMillan gets to the Chiefs at 31, that's a fantasy. He's not going to be there. He's going to be a top 10, top 12 pick. Period. There's no situation where he falls outside of the top 12 in my mind. And if he does,
there's only one, and you won't like it. It's a health problem, right? That's the only.
Yeah, right. If he, I'm not going to say it. We won't do that. We won't go there. You could see some of the guys fall. The LSU tackle, Will Campbell, I still think is the best offensive lineman in the class. Just end of story. Wherever he plays, guard, tackle, it doesn't really matter to me. I think he can do both, and he's going to get the opportunity to do tackle first, in my opinion, regardless of his arm length, unless he comes in with like 30-inch arms, like legit 30. Like, no, he'll be sub 33 probably. I think he will be. I think he'll be 32 and 2.5. But for me, the hand usage, the way he's able to use his hands is what separates him and why he should get a shot to be able to do so. So there's that. And then the OSU tackle we were just talking. I was a big proponent of Donovan Jackson, the guard. Like, I had a first-round grade on him as a guard. And then watching him get better and better and better as a tackle, I'm like, this dude can play tackle. He's got 34-inch arms. He's athletic. He can play tackle. He might be a better right tackle in the NFL than left, but he's definitely got the tools to be able to play there. And again, I think that he's somebody, if he's there, you would absolutely want to draft. Josh Simmons with the injury, we'll find out more about the medicals on him this week at the combine. We'll hear about that. I personally think he's going to be out of the Chiefs' reach, but if he starts to fall, then I think that's where you start to really think about trying to trade up to get Josh Simmons.
Where's Brandon holding his pick right now? They're at 28. I don't think that's enough. Brandon, you got to let somebody else. And I do have something coming for you, hopefully in the next week, folks, over on the gear store. If you want the Rogue Kingdom, get in here. Those hats are in there. In fact, I should show you guys this. If you missed it when we debuted it, it was Super Bowl week. I still believe these guys are GOATs. And our newest piece is Patrick and Kelce together. You can get it on hoodie or a tee, or I should have a hat here pretty soon. But we have some new gear coming. If you want any of it, check out the RGR store. It's in the description here on this video and all of them, honestly. And you can have your say however you like it. Beefy, nice to see you, and thanks for being a member.
What up,
Memberships
Beefy?
make the world go around, brother. Are there any left tackles in the draft that we could realistically get that you think could step in and be a day one to solve our problems? If not, seems like another 1 year stopgap rental veteran. I think you just named one on my list, and I haven't done a ton of work on them. I've watched these guys live a bit, but Simmons is one that if he gets to 20, I'm working hard to trade up in there.
Yeah.
I don't know if they get it done, but if that happens, I'm in on him. The other popular name, the guy that I'm going to do first in my tackle group, separate from Dan's evaluation. Dan's watched more film than I have. He'll probably have our draft guides eval on him. But give me your thoughts, just real quick, on Connerly from Oregon.
Yeah, so Josh Connerly is a very good athlete. He's going to test well this week. I expect he looks pretty good in the Oregon system. Again, that's getting the ball out quick. It's predicated on getting them into space, moving. My problem with Connerly is that he does not handle power well. And when you watched him get kind of beat up on at the Senior Bowl by some of these power guys, it starts to put that in the back of your head. Like, these are some of the best from college. Imagine, and I'm gonna do a direct comparison. I didn't think Kingsley was perfect at the Senior Bowl last year, but he played better against power at the Senior Bowl than Josh Connerly did this year. That starts to make me wonder, and because again, he's probably going to come in light. He's not a big tackle. I don't even remember what Kingsley came in at specifically, but he looks bigger. Like, just overall looks bigger than Connerly. Just looking one to the other. So if he can get his anchor right and learn to deal with the NFL power, I personally think that he would be a good fit in the Chiefs system because they love those athletes, but he has to be able to anchor and power in. Otherwise, I think he's just going to get taken advantage of.
Okay, fair enough. I think Kingsley came in at 6037 is what I had him at. I could be off a little bit, but I don't remember. It's all up here, and it's all churning constantly, right? I look at the defensive line. Thank you, Bradley. Going into the combine, I'm intrigued by Darius Alexander, Tyree Williams. Love to get them both on the Chiefs. Talk to me about those guys because I haven't done any work on either of them.
So I haven't watched Tyree Williams. I don't think anyway. The name doesn't ring a bell. But Darius Alexander was, and I don't have Toledo tape. Like, I haven't watched a ton on Toledo tape, but what I saw at the Senior Bowl was impressive. This was, he's like a fifth-year player, I think if I'm not mistaken, but we're talking 300 plus pounds, moves better than anybody should at that size. Power, speed to power. He's got pass rush moves like a defensive end, but you're going to play him anywhere from, I think, 0 out to 3, possibly 4-eye, but that's right on the inside shoulder of the tackle. You could probably get away with playing him anywhere in there. And also, since Spags love to move guys around, he's probably athletic enough to beat some of these tackles on the outside with just pure effort and pass rush ability. So I love Darius Alexander. I think that he's also going to blow up the combine. You guys saw Braden Fisk last year out of Florida State. He transferred in. They played a really good year at Florida State and then blew up the Senior Bowl and the combine. You saw him going day 2, early on day 2 to the Rams. This is a guy that would not shock me if he, once again, not just coming off of that Senior Bowl experience that he had coming into the combine and blew it up there, if he also went pretty early in day 2, maybe closer to the 3rd round, but that wouldn't shock me at all.
Okay. All right. Well, I will do some work on them as we get closer, Bradley, but thanks for bringing those two guys up. Another Oregon kid's been in my head lately. The Howard kid. Have you gotten a look at him?
Howard?
Yeah.
I don't know a Howard from Oregon.
Okay. Maybe I have his name wrong. He popped.
Harmon. You're thinking of
Harmon. I'm thinking Harmon.
Yeah, you're thinking Harmon. Yeah.
I wrote it down on my live sheet incorrectly. Sorry there, buddy. I know you have a name. I just didn't know what it was.
That's all good. Harmon is a guy who lives in the backfield. Like, he's got good lateral movement skills. I personally think his power's not as fortuitous as people are saying it is. I think he's got some hand technique usage problems, consistencies. He doesn't close either. Like, he gets in the backfield then he doesn't close. Like I need to see a little bit more close in the TFLs, not necessarily sacks. I don't care so much about that. Pressures are pressures. We know those translate, but the TFL stuff, I want to see him close and get better with his tackling to be able to translate that. So I like him in the second round personally, and some people are going to have him in the first round, but we know based off of guys that live in the backfield like that just it translates, even if it's going from one school into the NFL. We've seen that happen time and time again.
Let's hope. Let's hope. Good question from David here. What are the two highest picks you can get trading back from 31?
This one's all you.
I mean, honestly, if you're trading back, there's no reason to stay at 32, right? Like you wouldn't go back 1 point, but there's no reason you can't go. I want the top pick in the second round and talk to the number one team. You know, there's no reason you can't do that. And honestly, in this particular draft, it might be something that you can accomplish, given that your buddy Mike is running the team that holds number 63.
Yeah, maybe.
Or I'm sorry, not 63, the 30.
I know what you meant.
So I just don't know that gives you wouldn't get value in return is the thing. So if you're going to drop, you probably got to drop 8 to 10 places. Then you can pick up a second pick. What I'm trying to do is when you take a look at this in the opposite, I'm trying to see just how much momentum I'm willing to give up, because the Chiefs have 4 top 100 picks, and you know how much I covet those. But
yeah,
with tackle being something that if they believe Kingsley has to go inside, whether it's for Joe, whether it's for Trey, whether for whatever reason, if you have to go get a tackle, I'm giving up the second round pick number 63. I'm not waiting till the third. It's 66, thanks to Tennessee. There's not enough there for me to think that the Chiefs will fall out of a tier that they want. So I'm giving that up, and that can get you at least to 20. It might be able to get you a little bit higher than that. Can you get to 18 or 17? You might be able to pull that off with a second. Maybe you got to throw in a 7th or a 6th next year or whatever. The Chiefs don't have 5 and 6 this year. So it's those top 100 picks through 95. Then they have 127 in the 4th round, and they have 256 in the 7th round. That's it. So do you do something else? Do you trade a player to get some low-level picks and then throw in as candy? I don't know. I don't think the Chiefs have a whole lot of player prospects that they could trade right now.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. But all comes down to how teams feel on draft day. This is a quote unquote, down draft. Maybe you can get higher with one of those picks. And that's part of the process. Is our team's going to be more willing to trade with the Chiefs in a year where it's quote unquote a down year? We're going to find out in April.
We certainly are. There's a lot between now and April, though, including March Madness. And if you want to get in the action, we have a way and a place that can help you. Check out BetUS.
The best way to get into the action is with BetUS and their deal with code YouTube150. You can start playing today with that exclusive offer. You can get into all the football that you want, whether it's this week's matchup for the Chiefs, whether it's getting into the season-long odds against Super Bowl, against the division. The Chiefs are heavily favored in a lot of those, but there are plenty of bets to be made. You can do it all at BetUS, where you can get 150% of your deposit bonus up to 3 times and up to $2,000. Use YouTube 150 today at BetUS.
Okay. Got a question here, and I just want to jump to it just so I can get it out of the way before I forget. For Daryl, when will the Matrix come out? The Matrix, that is not the draft guide. That's just the athletic matrix. All the measurements that you get the athletic profile. It's Raz on steroids, right? If you guys use Raz as a reference, that's a great historical comparison to what other guys have done. It's not functional, and that's fine. It's a good resource. I use it from times, and I think he does a hell of a job with it. But if you want that actual functionality, you got to go to the Matrix. The Matrix will come out as soon as I can get it pumped out. I'm going to change the format a little bit this year, a little bit less graphic heavy, which hopefully will speed me up. Okay. But I'm going to try to get it and the draft guide posted for pre-order probably end of this week, early next week, so we can get that ball rolling. You guys don't have to wait for me. You can go ahead and get it purchased, and then I can just email it out to you. So, Daryl, thanks for bringing that up, and I'll make sure that I continue to make announcements for those that might not be on here tonight. Info had a good one here. I feel like Nadia slipped a little last year. Any cheap free agent upgrades to be a 3rd, 4th defensive tackle? Have you looked at that group?
I have it up right now and I'm not seeing a ton. Maybe Javon Kinlaw, another former 1st-round pick. He was with the Jets this last year. That's somebody that you can possibly bring in to be that 3rd, 4th guy. I do think Tershawn Morton's coming back. I think he had a very good season, and they'll probably try to bring him back if they can. But in terms of like guys that can come in and be that, Levi Muzurike, I liked coming out of Washington. He finally started to develop a little bit this last year in Detroit, but Derek Nottie has a specific set of skills. He
Mhm.
is a run stuffing defensive tackle. I don't know off the top of my head, looking at these lists, guys that fit that profile. Maybe you do, but
Nobody
what
that
do you,
really stands out to me. Like,
yeah,
do you think that Khalil Davis could do that? Maybe, but he'd have to take a step forward. I mean, Sheldon Rankins can do that, but he's 31 years old. I'm not bringing a 31-year-old defensive tackle. I got plenty of those to go around. I'm okay. I like Anzarika. That was a good call because he's one of the guys on the younger side to go with
yeah.
Kirk. John Jenkins never did anything for me. Jerry Tillery's been around. He's still sub 30 for now, but you never know what you're going to get from it.
There's one other player. It's T.R. Tart. Uh,
Okay.
T.R. Tart played with the Titans and the Chargers last year. He's 27, he'll be 28 very soon. But he's another guy that can give you some of that run stuffing defensive tackle play. And he's still on the relatively young side, coming off of a year where he played for two different teams. You might be able to get him at a relative discount.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. It's finding diamonds in the rough that, again, can play your system. I've been waiting all year for this guy to get on the field, and they never
Yeah.
got Tuipulotu on there. So what do I know? It depends. Again, it's all up here, as Spags has said. Can you learn this defense? Can you make yourself available to be a player in this defense? That's what I have to see.
Caroline, I appreciate the enthusiasm. I really do. I appreciate it. He's getting $20+ million. I love it. I love it. It's an unrealistic situation. But like I said, I appreciate it. And congratulations on getting that article up on NFL 33. Love to see it.
It's awesome. You guys go get on there. I know you got to get stuff, but go check it out and give her some feedback and a high five from me. That said, there will be more questions on free agency, and I feel like there will be more defensive linemen available than there are right now. So I think that's a position that's going to be a little more volatile than most this particular offseason. Let's back to draft prospects. CJ said, how do you feel about TCU's wide receiver Beckham Williams?
So I actually did a draft breakdown on TDN's YouTube page of Jack Besh a couple weeks ago. You can go check that out. He's an interesting player. Like I love the effort. He's a guy that you're going to want to have on your football team. He's going to do the dirty work. He's going to be a guy you can condense as a wide receiver. He'll give you effort blocking, and he's going to do all the right things. He'll probably show out on special teams too. I'm worried about his ability to separate in the NFL, about his top speed. I think he's going to be a very good possession player. I'm just trying to find, like, I compared him a little bit to Puka Nacua in play style, effort, and physicality. I don't think he has the speed out of his breaks or the acceleration factor that he does. So I still like Besh a lot, and the contested catches and the hands that he plays with, that with the smaller hand size, like he's great with that. I'm trying to figure out where I would put him in terms of fit for the Chiefs, because they don't typically use those possession players. Again, unless we're talking about Rashee Rice not being that guy and he's going to go play on the outside, and you're going to facilitate the Travis Kelce role with a guy like Jack Besh. I think that could make some sense. Again, former tight end. Let's not forget.
Okay, and that's the key. Can you adapt a little bit? Because if Travis Kelce does retire, I do think the big interior slot guy is way back on the table, if not an actual big X. That
Yeah.
there's some combination. You need a physicality out there to replace Travis because Noah doesn't have it. And I like Hendershot. I think he will be back. He's not yet, but he will be.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that either. It's not the same kind of thing. So you do need something in that realm. I like it. Thanks, CJ.
Just real quick, CJ Williams is a very good yak guy. He can do it all. Injuries are a big thing for him. Redshirt senior this year. He's been injured. He drops the football. He doesn't track it very well. So again, he's like the Rashee Rice role type player, but he drops the football. I love the athlete. He's going to test very well if the medicals check out. But there is a role in this offense taken by Rashee Rice so Williams doesn't make a ton of sense for me personally.
Gotcha. Hey, catch the damn ball. That's your job. Bradley, I want this team to fix left tackle, and I'm getting free agent Holland from Miami. Why not get him? Well, one, I don't think they're going to let him go. I think they'll either reach a deal or they'll franchise him. I don't think they can afford to do that. But I like him. I think he can play free. I'm comfortable with him in space. He's not what he was at Oregon, but he is a more polished player. He might not be as speedy a player, a full service sideline to sideline guy. But he's got a lot of it covered. I wouldn't have a problem with it other than the price tag.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is what's it going to cost? I love Javon Holland coming out. I loved him, and he played well. This year was down year for him, and he got hurt. So if you can get him at a discount coming off of an injury, sure, that'd be great. And I think that would be make a lot of sense and help you fill a void you need for your defense, and also make it so you don't have to worry about it in the draft so much because you already have a ton of other players in the secondary for that spot specifically.
Yeah, you might as well keep it rolling. Jonathan, thoughts on taking 2 running backs in this draft, one being in the 4th round or earlier? Seems like a super deep draft. It certainly does, but I can't bring myself to draft 1 running back most years, let alone 2, buddy. I don't know how you do that, but 1 I can live with.
If the Chiefs can get another 5th round pick, yeah, I'm all in and taking 2.
Okay.
But inside, like you said, the 4th round or earlier, you're taking 1. I think if you can fill out needs elsewhere in this free agent class, that's the main thing here. If they have defensive tackle, offensive line, linebacker, wide receiver, safety, and they have like relative big needs at those positions, you're not going to see a running back drafted unless a value player is just staring them in the face.
Like this guy.
I mean, Lucas, again, I love the enthusiasm with you guys are putting out with these. I love the enthusiasm at 63 or 66. I mean, sure, they can. Should they? Probably not. If you can get them on in the 3rd round, absolutely. I'm all over that. I did a breakdown of Chevy and Henderson over on the TDN YouTube page as well. I love the talent. He's a fantastic talent. The injuries and the body type and the taking hits are a problem. They will be a problem. He cannot, in my opinion, be what everyone wanted J.K. Dobbins to be coming out, as in the workhorse. I don't think he can do that. I think he's a 1A or 1B. He needs to be in a committee. So 3rd round, I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. But in the 2nd round for him specifically, which is probably where he's also going to go, it's a bit much for me specifically. And again, the talent all day long. The talent is for sure.
And I like the fit. I want some lightning to go with Pacheco. As you said, if he's the 1B, I'm good with that. But again, that value, 1B value is not in the 2nd round. That is, for me, usually not even the top 2 days. But we'll get there. I'm trying to grow up. I'm trying to mellow out. Beefy, thank you. Any free safeties in the draft that you do like? I think there's a lot of box safeties which we have enough of. I do like one of the kids from Notre Dame. It's not the kid that is getting the most hype.
It's not Watts.
No, it's the other one. He wore 4. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I'll get there. But he's more rangy. He's more the type that the Chiefs want. Again, not a box.
There's a couple of guys, and I agree with you. There's a lot of box type safeties. One of them that has been on my mind a lot is Lathan Ransom, Ohio State safety, number 8. I believe he has the ability to play everywhere in the back end. I did a scouting report for him. I love him. I gave him a 2nd round grade. That's how big of a fan I am of Lathan.
He's
and
your
I
guy.
He's my guy. I love watching him play. I was disappointed we didn't get to see him at the Senior Bowl. All the Ohio State players didn't show up because they just got done playing the national championship game. So whatever. It is what it is. I think he has that speed. If you guys go and watch the game against Tennessee in the very first round of the college football playoff, there is a play where he's the single high safety. He's back. And he goes all the way out to his right because he's moving with the quarterback's eyes. The quarterback rolls out to his right. So Lathan's left. He has to trace his way all the way back to the left, and he nearly gets an interception. The effort, and he's a physical guy too. You can put him in the box, and he's more than willing to go down and make plays against the run. He's a guy that fits exactly what the Chiefs want. He's also got experience, and he's played a lot of football. He's dealt with some injuries too. You have to remember that. That's going to be part of this week. We'll find out. But Lathan Ransom is a guy that I would love to see in Kansas City.
I am with you, and I knew you were going to go there. So good for you for having your guy so damn early. We got to get one of those graphics that's just like my guy kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'll try to work on that. But to go with Jared's question, specifically more towards free safety, free agents as well. When you take a look at the list, Justin Reed, your current free safety, is right up there at the top of the list. Marcus Williams, you can make that argument. Do I think it's a better fit? I'm not 100% sure of that, to tell you the truth. But it's hard to upgrade from Justin is the problem. And so you could maybe get somebody a little bit more versatile in terms of space, but I don't think you get like Morrig, I thought has never hit his potential, but I don't see him as a true single high free. Cisco's made some good impact, but I can't trust him to guard the entire field back there solo. So like,
Agreed.
again, it's about the roles for me.
Yeah, that's the part of the problem with this class too, of the free agent classes. Maybe the one guy, Ashton Davis, is the one guy you might be able to trust out there as a true free safety. But most of these guys are just, they're not frees. and Ashton Davis has been hurt like most of his career, if I'm not mistaken.
I agree with you completely. It's hard to find a fit. It really is. Thoughts on CBs? Darian Porter from Iowa State, Siobhan Ravel Jr., assuming he's healthy, East Carolina. I don't even know him. And how about the balanced athletic traits versus tape in the analysis? I'll tell you.
It's always fun. You can answer that part.
I was going to say, for me, tape tells you what they do now. They have to be able to play ball. They have to understand what they're doing. The difference comes into, if you're talking about a starter, a top 100, they have to have tape that says they can walk in and play. And then the athletic traits are the differentiator. You pick a guy over another guy because of that. Day 3, you pick guys because of the athleticism and you think you can coach them up to play the game. That's the difference. For me, it is a very distinct change from day 2 to day 3. But I don't know Darian Porter, so sorry to interrupt you.
All right, so Darian Porter and Siobhan Revel both listed at over 6'3". I believe Revel's listed at 6'3", and Porter's listed at 6'4". They're big. They're outside guys. Darian Porter is a very good athlete. I did the report on him actually not that long ago, and I gave him, let me find him right here. I did give him a 3rd-round grade. So I like his versatility. I think he had some issues at the Senior Bowl, specifically in matching coverage. The athletic ability to play with against some of these smaller, shiftier wide receivers is not going to be his traits. But as a complement to a guy like Trent McDuffie on the outside as your cornerback 2, developmental into your cornerback 2, if you have Jalen Watson here this year, and then next year you have Porter, a guy like that, it makes a lot of sense. Long, speedy guy. He has good instincts, and he can turn his head. He can. So he already has that, and we've seen now that, well, apparently they do teach these corners how to turn their head around, and it just started to work for Trent McDuffie this year and things like, and a little bit. So I like Darian Porter. I think he can give you some more of the man coverage aspect. Revel, I think, is very tight-hipped. He was getting some first-round buzz from Dane Brugler before the season. I think he's probably still up there for a lot of people. I do not have a 1st-round grade on Revel, and I think that his hip tightness specifically would prevent him from being able to help you in that man coverage situation. What you saw in the Super Bowl, he'd get beat. He'd get beat. His inability to turn his hips and run, and then again, it'd be like the Travarius Ward stuff all over again, where he's going to be really good. He was better covering down behind him than I think Revel will be in turning and getting around. But across the field, man coverage on those 3rd downs where you see Spags blitzing, I don't think that that's a really great part of his game. Feels like he's more of a zone off corner where he can break downhill and read personally. But that's based off of what I've seen, which is not a full diagnosis of the player. So that's just from what I've watched.
It's just a start. And that's honestly where we are on Dan's ahead, but we're all working now to watch film and get real takes. You've done a lot more work than I have at this point. Good for you. You can find his work at the Draft Network. If you guys haven't heard me say that enough, I probably didn't put it at the top. Apologies. Black and Gold, thank you. I appreciate you. It does. Every little bit does help, and we appreciate you very much. I do like Kobe Bryant from the Kansas Jayhawks. Agreed. I think the fit and Spags defense, and I think third round pick, in my opinion. They're going to be worried about him weight-wise. He is the Xavier Worthy of the cornerback group this year. He is skinny, man. He does not carry a lot of weight. And trying to run support in the NFL is a different ballgame than it is in college.
I love the way he plays. He's a dog. Like he's just a dog. I worry about what he's gonna do. Right. I just worry about the size. And the thing we've seen translate for Xavier Worthy is that while he didn't necessarily play bigger than his size down the field, he did after the catch. I thought he handled physicality pretty well, and he's done that in the NFL. So I have hope for Kobe because he's able to come downhill, run support. He'll probably be more of an ankle tackler in the NFL. But overall, I think that he can throw his weight around good enough, and he has the versatile skill set. He's able to come down, change direction, play man coverage, give you zone instincts as well. So I like him as well. I think I gave him a third round grade too.
Okay. Yeah. I think he might fall a little bit because of the weight. If he's available at the top of 4, go get him.
Agreed.
I'm all for that. Thank you, Bradley. And don't you think that it's critical that they re-sign Hollywood? I think it's a great idea. I won't say that it's critical. It has a lot to do with Rasheed and when he's available, right? But in terms of being able to replace what Hollywood does, Xavier has gotten to the point where he can do that. I think the one play in the Super Bowl shows you that. But do I want to have 2 of them? You're damn right I do. So I think it is a very good idea to bring Hollywood back.
It's always a good idea to bring back a guy who meshes well with your offense. I think Hollywood fits perfectly in Kansas City. And I'm going to go ahead and take that victory lap over Ryan right now because we all remember he did not want Hollywood Brown in Kansas City. But unfortunately, the reason he didn't want him is what happened. He got hurt. So
it's like I was right.
Damn it. But
so were you,
he does fit really well in the offense. And the play where Xavier Worthy caught that 50-yard bomb on the right-hand side is exactly what I asked them to do with Hollywood Brown. Just line them up on the same side, run at the safety. Guess what? He has to choose. He chose wrong, and he got beat. That's what it is. It comes down to the fundamentals of you don't need to worry about trying to bring in a Henry Ruggs or even entertain the idea if you just bring Hollywood Brown back because of what he can do.
Well, and it feels like if they do that, and there's going to be a penalty for Rasheed at some point, right? We get that. We know it's coming. Is it 4? Is it 6? Is it 8? I don't know. But it feels like maybe you just put the whole timeout in, and the plan that was in place for camp last year could be the thing that actually happens next year. So why not run it back?
Agreed.
I'm 100% with you. Kazan, thank you. Does Carson Steele get used a little bit more next year? I would like to say so, but I don't see it. I don't think Andy's going to go there.
You might see a free agent running back, a drafted running back, and a UDFA running back in the room next year with Isaiah Pacheco. Like that might be what we're talking about. So I don't think so. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I wish there was something different, but I think he will still be the fullback. So I think he'll be here, and I think he can help you in short yardage still. Not to relive the horrid Super Bowl. Thank you, John. But the Chiefs had the best interior offensive line. How did they get embarrassed so completely? Toney was out of position, but is this a systemic issue? And I will say it's a systemic issue in that they still, despite Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey's presence, are mostly a finesse offensive line, and they don't deal with bull rush in their face as well as they should. I will say, though, the majority of the pressure came either from Taylor a little bit, but mostly Joe and Caliendo. It is Joe playing out of position, Caliendo having to replace him, and not having a left tackle. So I don't think it's systemic in that particular concern.
And to piggyback on that, John, thank you for that question. We've got one here from Hannah with a super chat. Elephant in the room. Do we have coaching issues in the offensive line? Andy, because we've had issues with development. Stoutland and the Eagles turned rugby player to an all-pro guard and revived careers of Mekhi Becton and Fred J. I don't know the Fred J. Was that I don't know who that is.
I got nothing on that one.
I got nothing.
Stoutland is a different beast, though. Andy Heck is a technician. He teaches technique. He teaches athleticism. He teaches angles. Stoutland is a guy that does it all. He'll teach that, but he will also beat the living shit out of you, and he doesn't care. He teaches his guy to be dominant when they are, and they draft guys that are bigger, longer, stronger. That's what they do. And I think that combination is why you see the difference. And it's really easy to put the Chiefs O-line versus the Philly O-line. It's just a different beast. This line could not run tush push as effectively, I guarantee you, with or without Jason Kelce on Philly's line. It's just not what they do. But Creed and Trey are obviously more physical than the others. But I think it is that, as we were just saying in the last one, it is how they choose to play the game. I said a lot of years ago, I would like to see a really like Stoutland-esque, if you want to call it whatever, a guy that is more power-based as an assistant O-line coach to Andy Heck. So Andy can do the technique stuff, and yet you still get that I want to punch this guy's guts out kind of feel.
It's a tough thing to think, because I'm going to say this, and this is not a knock on Creed Humphreys. He's more torque-based power than he is just kick the snot out of somebody. It's more based around torque and core strength. That's why he's so good, because he can create angles. He's not just getting vertical displacement. That's not what they do. The only guy on this offensive line that can create and generate vertical displacement on his own is the aforementioned Trey Smith. That he's the only guy. He's the only one. It's not built around it. So unless you have an offensive, I don't know, reimagining where they want to bring more beef to the offensive line. I saw someone say Tyler Booker in the second round. If the Chiefs go in a completely different realm and draft Tyler Booker, please, that'd be awesome. I would love to see them do that, because he is a just going to get vertical displacement all day long, and he's going to mollywop people. But they don't typically do that. So that's why we were talking earlier about the whole Josh Connolly thing. It would make a lot of sense if he's a Kansas City Chief come April, because of the athletic ability and the smaller frame in terms of height, weight type thing. But they've gotten away with developing guys and bringing in some guys too. It's a hit and miss thing. Like, you don't bet on Jordan Mailata becoming an All-Pro. Dude was literally just it's what happens. Like, it's you don't know. Like, the Chiefs brought in Ethan Driscoll. What happens if Ethan Driscoll 3 years from now turns into a stud left tackle? Like, that's what these bets are. They got lucky with Mailata. They were able to harness what it was. We haven't seen that from the Chiefs, but also the Mailatas are one in like every 500 players that you draft. Like, that doesn't happen often.
The Welshman that was in camp with us, same concept. You're taking a chance, especially, and I love the rugby aspect of it. Bring that in, you know. There's plenty of places you can find rugby athletes around the world. You might as well keep looking for it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hannah. Appreciate you. Ocean, nice to see you, Miss Caroline. You got to add a good one too, because this puts down the spot. Because I don't know. I haven't seen Bowman yet. Thoughts on him at 95, the undersized free safety type.
I don't think he's going to be there at 95, personally, Caroline. I think he's got extremely good change of direction. He showed out very well in the man coverage aspect. I think even though he's undersized, he's got great instincts. He's always around the football. He flies around the defense. I think he's going to be much earlier than that. If by chance he's not, yeah, that's a lot of fun in Kansas City's defense. You can do a lot of fun things with that guy. And he fixes your nickel cornerback spot immediately, because he can give you reps there too.
Oh, that's good. I will take that. I have not watched him yet, but he's on my list. Caroline, thank you, and congratulations. Off to a great start. What separates Caleb Johnson is that he played for Iowa. Everybody knew they were going to run the ball every down, and he still put up big numbers. Let's get him. What do you think?
If Caleb Johnson was going to be there on day 3, or actually not day 3, on the 3rd round, I'd love it. There's 3 guys in the top for me, and it's Genty, but it's followed really closely by Amarian Hampton. I love Amarian Hampton, and personally, for me, I would draft Hampton over Ashton Genty.
Who won't run at the combine because he's scared.
Oh, he is. He doesn't want to run a 40. He doesn't want to. He's also scared of the Staley drill. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
But Caleb Johnson is right after Amarian Hampton. He's a perfect zone scheme fit. He has the most effortless and efficient footwork in this class. Everyone's like, "Well, he doesn't have the top speed." I think he'll be, if he runs under a 4.5, that'd be a fantastic number for him. I think he'll run around 4.48. That's what I would say. I would say that. Then that would be a great number for him. But the reason he is so good is because his burst is incredible, and because he can so quickly get to it with efficient footwork. He wastes no movement. He wastes none. He knows what he's doing, and he's always in the right spot to accelerate. So I love what he does. I don't think he's going to be in the spot where the Chiefs can realistically draft him.
Gotcha. Well, there's a long time to go. Let's see what happens. Well, thank you. Do you feel, or what do you think that the team feels ready to anoint Jared Wiley if they don't think that he is TE1? What?
He commented and said that's supposed to say about.
Oh, okay, good. I was like, anointing is a big word. If they don't think that he is the next TE1 after 87, what would you think about Casey drafting Loveland? I think I just saw something on Loveland. What do you think?
It's going to make you upset, William, but Loveland is the 6th player in our top 100. We have him as the 6th rated player in this class. Colson Loveland is going to be an immediate impact tight end in the NFL. He is going. I know he played for a bad Michigan offense this year. He's an amazing player, and he's not going to be in Kansas City. He's just not.
I don't think they're done with Wiley, but I agree. I don't know that he is somebody you can pencil in there. So I right now feel like Travis is probably going to be back.
Yeah.
That's just a gut feeling. I haven't heard anybody say that I know that knows him, but that's just the way that it feels because I think we'd be hearing something by now if there was something else. Thank you, Will. Appreciate you. What would make sense? Would it make sense to part ways with Joe, sadly, and pay Trey to move to left guard and put our past draft picks battle for the right guard spot? Part of that is a scenario that is, I think, legitimately under consideration is if Joe retires, do you let him do that? I don't think you part ways with him as in a cut. No. And Trey is not a left guard. Trey is a right guard. He is a mauler, and that's where he belongs. And honestly, it would do him a disservice to move him. But with Wanye and Kingsley having left tackle experience, you could see either of them going into guard and surviving. I think we've mentioned that multiple times for both of them.
Yeah, and if you're bringing Trey back in any scenario, you're not moving him. You're putting him between the two guys he's played with basically now it'll be going on 3 years. You don't want to do that.
I agree with you. But thank you. Great question, Patrick. And I think they rework Joe's deal and he plays again.
I agree.
It's unfortunate no one's talking about Joe Thuney because he has a retirement decision to make as well. It's all about Travis, whereas I think it's as legitimate that Joe could be considering that as well. And
possibly.
Joe is all pro.
Let's
give him the credit.
He should play at least another 3 years.
I think so too. But I said that about Travis 2 years ago, and now I'm not so sure. So we're going to find out what Travis chooses. Scott, thank you. Appreciate the support. Thoughts on Mizzou's Armand Membo, maybe? Projections the Chiefs at 31. Haven't seen him.
He's a real physical player. I like him. He played right tackle for Mizzou. I don't think he's going to be a tackle in Kansas City. I think they would view him as a guard. And for me, if you're drafting him at 31 and you're taking a guard at 31, that's what you're doing. That's effectively what you're doing.
Okay.
I think that there are better ways to spend the first round pick unless you're going to have Jawan Taylor not play, basically, and just say, we're going to pay you, but we just don't, we just don't want you to be our right tackle. I think he could probably survive at right tackle, Membo, but right now, unless you're going to draft him and sit him or play guard and then come out, okay. Maybe that's the plan. If that's the plan, cool. But I don't know.
Okay. I'm not cool with that plan. Let's not do that. Duffrey, thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. Thanks for the content as always. We could realistically trade away for picks. Plus, any decent cornerback who could allow 22 to go back into the slot. Also, thoughts on potential stadium move. Plus, are you guys going to the combine? Thank you, Dub Freak. 4 questions for one. I appreciate you. Dan is there now. If you weren't here at the top of the show, Dan is in Indy. He will be there all week. I have family stuff. For those of you who don't know, my kids are of the age now where we travel for their sports. And so my spring has been cut back dramatically in terms of my travel outside of their sports. So Dan's doing the dirty work for us, and I appreciate you, Daniel, very, very much.
No problem. Why do we want to move Trent McDuffie back to the slot? Why do we want to do it? He was a second-team All-Pro on the outside. I'm just saying. I understand it makes a little bit of sense for he was, I guess you could say, better. He's an outside corner.
He was better because he had LJ.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. When you have a guy like him, and then you can say Josh Williams, Jalen Watson play on the outside, cool. But I think Trent McDuffie is not just the most versatile corner on the outside and inside, because he's literally an All-Pro at both positions on both. So let's not forget that.
Yeah.
He's literally an All-Pro at both positions, and you want to only keep him at slot if it's a dire situation, if you have no other choice. And I think that the Chiefs showed that this postseason, where they had opportunity to put him in the slot. They said, no, we want it. He wants it. We'll give it to him.
That's fair. In terms of players they could realistically trade away, right now, it doesn't look like it. It would be a tag and trade for Trey Smith, but they don't have the room to put the tag on to even begin that process. I don't really see that you can make this team better by trading anyone else away. Do you have any other candidates that fit that?
No, I don't. I don't. I'm sorry, Dub Freak. I wish we had something right now, but they are so top heavy in the sense that they're really, really good players that would get you something you want on your roster. And Jonathan, yes, I am a big Jahdae Barron fan. I love Jahdae Barron.
As far as the stadium goes, I put nothing past business types to make deals under tables and get stuff done. My gut tells me they end up staying where they are, but I don't know. I really can't say.
We're going to find out.
King asked, Mose wants to know about the tackle from Minnesota, who I cannot remember his name, but I know you did a piece on him last week.
All right, Mo, I got you. Don't worry. We did a breakdown of Ariante Ursary last week on, right here. It's in the film room, so you can go check that out. And I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
I'm a thumbs up on that dude. I like it. What about this guy? Thanks to Flapjack, Donovan Ezeraku. Aruko? I don't know how to do that.
Donovan Ezeraku. Measured out bigger than I expected to. On tape, he looks a bit small, but he's got 34+ inch arms. He transfers speed to power. He's got one of the best pass rush bags in the class. Still developing as a run defender, right? This is kind of like what we saw coming out from FAU. I would say that. I think Ezeraku might be a bit more polished to translate to the NFL from a pass rush perspective, but run defense stuff, I think we're talking about the same kind of player. It would take him a year, and we saw tangible results from the Chiefs working with him and him working on his own, FAU that is, to get better against the run. So Donovan, love him. I think he's a very good day 2 player and probably goes in day 2. I would imagine just inside the top 60, if not top 70.
Nice. Okay. Well, we're going to have to see where the Chiefs end up picking, because the Chiefs had 3 in the top 70. So let's find out. Rev, what are your thoughts on Devin Neal to the Chiefs? Love the concept. Love it. I like the way he runs. He just doesn't differentiate himself as the other aspect of the game that the Chiefs need, and that is the home run hitter, the speed demon that once he hits the outside edge can take it to the house. I love the way he runs, though, and I'd love to have him on this team. He's getting a lot of buzz, though, Dan. I know he came out of Mobile feeling pretty good about himself.
He should have. He played very good. Again, I wasn't expecting him to be 220 pounds. When you watched him 2 years ago, it felt like he was the speed demon guy. And then this past year, he really showcased the vision, the patience, and the contact balance at 220 pounds. Like it really felt like he played very well. In the 4th round, come on down, Devin Neal.
Sure.
Come on
Sure.
down. But if we're talking day 2, unfortunately, he doesn't have that gear that you want to get him the full workhorse treatment in Kansas City's offense.
So the real question is when he works out, and I think the running backs are going first, right, on the on-field workouts at the
I
combine.
don't remember.
So as long as he catches the ball well, I think there's a possibility that somebody might grab him in the third. But if he does fall to day 3, I think it's worth taking a hard look at grabbing him because I like the concept and I like the continuity.
Yeah.
Like it a lot. I like it a lot. Ruthless, thank you. And 9 months in the memberships. We appreciate you. If we draft 2 running backs, again with the 2 running backs thing, I don't know. I want Caleb Johnson and judging early if they do Devin Neal falls to them, or the SMU RB pass catching back later in the draft. Don't know his name. I know I saw him do a couple of cool things, but I don't know his name.
Brashard Smith is one of my favorite day 3 picks for the Chiefs, specifically because he's a former wide receiver and he's got great running back feel. He understands the position. He's not the biggest guy in the world. He's not going to, bowl guys over. He's going to make you miss. And if he gets a hole, he's gone. He's bottle of lightning, that dude. And he will catch anything. You could put him in run wheel routes and just run seam routes, all this kind of stuff all day long. He'd be a one-on-one nightmare for linebackers, even right now as a rookie.
Run the wheels. I'm just saying that route kills in the NFL because nobody has linebackers that can cover that well. Come on, do it. just do it. We're going to hit some of the super chats, folks. Last call for those as we are already over time, and Dan does need to get some food in him. Christian Mayberry, thank you. Do you take Dylan Sampson? If he was in the 3rd round, I think it could be a good change of pace back with Pacheco.
I like Dylan Sampson. I studied his tape earlier in the season, and I thought he did a lot of things well. I didn't think he was an elite player at anything. And that goes back to, are you going to draft him on day 2 as someone who doesn't necessarily do anything at an elite level? So I'll go back to him. I'll visit him again. But as of right now, I would say no.
Okay. Interesting. I haven't seen him yet, so I will get there. Thank you, Christian. And thank you, Steve. Nice to see you. Long shout out coming. Yes. Thank you. And for always being here. One of our members that is constantly around, and we appreciate you. And I know it's hard shifting gears this time of year, but we are making that deal done, and we can't thank you enough.
He right here is the shout out that he put up.
Okay. Not a question, but how do you guys evaluate athletes has transformed how I evaluate my lacrosse players that I coach. Nice. And so I just want to thank you guys.
Awesome.
And how much help you've been to me as a coach. Well, that's freaking awesome. I need to hear more about that. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I'm caught off guard by that. I want to hear more, Stephen. Hit me on the email, will you? It's RGR podcast. I'd like to know because I know just a bit about lacrosse enough to be dangerous. I'd love to see the similarities. I have a friend whose son plays, and I'd like to learn more about it. So, man, that's awesome. Holy hell.
Love to hear that, Stephen. Thank you. Thank you for that. And I'm glad that what we do has helped you in what you do. That's an amazing gift.
That's epic. Gracias. And thanks for being a member too, Steve. We appreciate you. Nikki, why don't the Chiefs want the big physical O-lineman like the Eagles have? Why do they prefer finesse? It's a stylistic thing. It's the West Coast offense that needs to be able to hit everywhere with both speed and explosiveness. They just don't maul. They don't want to run down people's throats. It's an Andy Reid thing as much as it's an Andy Heck thing.
And Andy Reid wants to run outside zone. That's what he wants. Yeah. He desperately wants to run outside zone, but he can't. He can't run outside zone, one, because he doesn't have Jamal Charles anymore. He doesn't have Kareem Hunt from first 2 years anymore. He doesn't have a running back that can burst through the hole and find it. Can't find the cutback. He doesn't have a Damian Williams. Damian Williams, you guys remember, he was so good in the scheme. He was perfect for the scheme. They don't have that running back. And when you get guys that want to run outside zone, you have to be a little bit more mobile. You have to be able to get to the edge. You have to be able to run down to the outside.
See the crease and
create those lanes. Yeah, you have to have that. And the offensive linemen need to be nimble enough to get off the ball, to explode off the ball laterally. Those big guys typically can't explode off the ball in a direction that way. They typically can't. So it's a preference thing, like he says, but because of the West Coast offense, because of the outside zone scheme that he wants to eventually run, they don't run these duo mash power football up. They just don't do it. And that's why we've seen them incorporate more single back power because Isaiah Pacheco is really good at running single back power. Like that's what he's
Right.
really good at. And Joe Tooney's really good at doing whatever you need him to. And Trey Smith can handle that. So it's unfortunate, but it's a stylistic issue.
Yeah. And unfortunately, until Andy retires, it will not change. He is an old dog. He ain't learning no new tricks that he doesn't come up with. And honestly, I think he was a little slow to come up with them this last year. Sorry. Bert, who would the Chiefs need to bring in on the DL so they can create pressure with just 4 defensive linemen? That is a great question, because that really is the key to doing this, right? And they got to draft some guys. I think Charles Omenihu should come back. I like what he brought. Did he play enough games to warrant it? I'm not sure. It would probably have to be at a similar contract level or lower, to tell you the truth. I'm not going DeMarcus Young or DeMarcus Lawrence. I might go Chase Young, though. Former first-round pick, 26.
Sure.
Panned out. I'll give you a vet min deal. Come in and show me you can do something. Sheldon Rankins is going to be out there. Josh Sweat, who just kicked the living hell out of Joe Tooney, is going to be out there. Go try to get him. You mentioned Kinlaw. DeMarcus Walker, he's 31. You might give him a look, but I don't know if you're going to get much there. Who else is out there? We kind of went down this before, but I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss anybody. So Peyton Turner, that's the other guy that's been on my he's got the length that Spags likes. He's good size, and he hasn't developed it. He's 26 years old. I'd give him a look too.
Yeah, man, that was a botched first round pick from the Saints too. Like another former first round player that we liked for the Chiefs on day 2.
Yep,
but not in the first round.
Ruh-roh. And we're going to wrap with Hannah. Thank you again. But Dan, for you, put aside Mailata. What about Mekhi Becton? He was cut by the Jets. Same with Fred Johnson as a cast-off who played solid for Lane Johnson during injuries. Do we need better coaching on the O-line is my question.
All right. Well, Mekhi Becton is a tackle, but he played guard for the Eagles. So the biggest problems were outside of injury. Also, he stayed healthy. Like that, you can't predicate guys to predict that they're going to play a full season, which he had never done in his career. So great for him for doing that, but they played him at guard instead of tackle, where his weaknesses were mitigated by elite right tackle play in Lane Johnson. You put him next to an elite tackle who, again, is playing all pro level for another year, which is crazy to see. And then you have, Fred Johnson played solid, sure. I think you can argue that Caliendo played solid at left guard in most of the games up to the Super Bowl. And solid is it's not a catch-all, but you get some of that too. I just think that what we've seen over the past couple of seasons is different frameworks because, Donovan Smith wasn't great at left tackle last year, but that was a veteran. Orlando Brown, I would say, played fine. Very good run blocker, not a great pass protector, but they tried different players and different body types, but they have not been able to develop a guy outside of Eric Fisher at left tackle. And then, Mitchell Schwartz was already a great player. So right. I don't know that they necessarily need better coaching. It's you have to hit, right? You have to hit on the guy. And some teams did it. The Chiefs did it with Fisher. They hit on Eric Fisher. It just took a little longer to get there. We're in a day and age right now where the patience for some of these guys that are developmental prospects and will take a little bit longer is that almost no patience. And we saw that with Kingsley Suamataia this year. He got 2 games and he was benched. And that's kind of how Wanya Morris was pulled from a game by Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes got his ass benched and said, I don't want him on the field. They've tried and they failed. It's unfortunate. And I think that they do need some better coaching, like Ryan talked about, bringing in someone who can assist with it. But Andy Heck is Andy Heck for a reason. You listen to Mitchell Schwartz talk about Andy Heck. You listen to the reverence that people around the league have for him. And I don't know if he's the problem. I'm not also sure that he's been the answer, Hannah. I'll say that.
That's fair. Jacob snuck one in here, and guys know that I can't let a super chat go unanswered. So, thoughts on D. Slayton? What do you think?
If you're not bringing back Hollywood Brown, absolutely. I think he's a speed element. I think he's a very good receiver. And overall, he's played with Daniel Jones his entire career. And absolutely, you bring in Darius Slayton if you can't bring back Hollywood Brown, in my opinion.
He's the same age. Played
Less
for less
injury.
money last year and played 78% of the snaps. So
Yeah.
I can see it from here for sure. Absolutely. Good
And
catch,
you're
Jacob.
welcome, Hannah.
And thank you. Yes, thank you, Hannah, as well. We're going to wrap it up there. Let Dan get some dinner, folks. We will have content. I'm going to give you some of my thoughts tomorrow. Dan's got something for you on Wednesday. If we get bonus stuff from the combine, we will let you know. I might get some other guests on here to try to give us a little break, but Gary will be back as well. Don't forget, the Athletic Matrix will come very quickly this year, hopefully much quicker than last year, off of the combine. We will be covering it. We will have it ready. I'll have it ready for pre-order probably by the end of the week, if not early next week. So be on the lookout. I'm very excited about it, and we have some cool stuff coming. So thank you all for tonight. Dan, thanks for doing this after a very long drive. We appreciate you, dude.
Of course, you guys. We do what we can here, and hopefully we'll get some good sound bites from the coach and GM tomorrow, and we can do that.
It's going to be fun. Have a great night, folks. Enjoy yourself, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.